Well, that sucked. But you know what doesn't suck? David, tell the people what doesn't suck.
What doesn't suck is Profit X, your number one sports prediction market where you can get the best odds compared to any traditional sports book versus the house. It lets users play against each other. So again, you're pretty much guaranteed to find the best lines on any play you're looking to make. So use my promo code Dave and claim up to $200 in profit cash on all plays within your first 30 days. Terms and conditions apply, and hopefully that can take away some of the rage, some of the pain that we're experiencing after just an inexcusable loss. So thank you to ProfitX for being my flagship sponsor, and Let's Talk Broncos for allowing me to continue to promote it. Thank you, guys.
My name is Mario. That's David. Thank you so much, David, for joining me today. Yeah, up until a few minutes ago, I really thought that this post game would go a lot differently. And an interesting lead-in, Anton Carey says, and of course, Vegas had to get the win. BS call. And you know what, David? Vegas always wins, right? So you go ahead and bet and you use David's code, but just keep in mind, Vegas always wins, unless you want to prove us wrong, in which case use Profit X. That's not the best defense in the league. Who effed is worse, Lutz or DJ Jones? So first off, like Lutz missing that field goal is ridiculous, and I feel like that's a field goal that he hits 8 out of 10 times. But I'm pretty sure it was actually a Wazurike. I don't know if they called DJ Jones. I was holding my baby. My toddler was kind of running around. But Wazurike was the one who pushed down the snapper. And it's like, why? The dude is attempting a 60-yard field goal. And so to answer your question, it's like both of them, right? Like, first off, it's on Bo Nix for throwing a terrible interception when they're in field goal range. Shouldn't have come down to that. It's on Alex Singleton for having an embarrassingly bad game and was almost single-handedly responsible for the game that Jonathan Taylor had. It's on the play calling in the second half. It left little to be desired. It's on Lutz. It's on Wazurike. It's on the whole team. And I'm not going to, I know there's going to be some comments in here, David, about the officials. I don't want to be that guy because it was a really weirdly officiated game. And honestly, it was bad on both sides. Like, the Broncos definitely benefited, especially one of their last drives of the second half when Indianapolis committed 4 penalties, and half of them were kind of not so sure about that. But it was bad all the way around. What are your thoughts, David? Talk us through this a little bit.
Dude, it's been a while since I've seen this team absolutely self-destruct in the way that they did in this fourth quarter, man. It's like the anti-clutch gene, man. You had Bo Nix looking like Tim Tebow. Why you even throw that? I don't know. Yeah, Will, I think that was a 42-yarder. That's something that you have to make pretty much
in
every
a dome. In a dome, you have to make it every time.
Yeah. And then, again, inexcusable, man. What the hell is Darren Rizzi having these guys do? We gave up some terrible returns. Really, the only thing good on special teams, of course, was Crawshaw. He brought it, man. But that is inexcusable on a 60-yard field goal to be pulling any of that stuff.
Completely unnecessary. Didn't they say the dude had never made a field goal over 45 yards? He was on his third team. At that point, it's just you know what, David? If he makes it, he makes it. And they deserve to win that game. You give him a free 15 yards, completely inexcusable. And it's clear that Wazurike had money on the Colts this game. We're making those references. I don't care because he had another bad penalty earlier in the game that he shouldn't have had. And he just looks disinterested in being out there. I don't understand how someone so big and so athletic, and honestly, God, you and I think it was Marky and somebody else after that, the Cardinals game, we talked about him. And I pretty much inexplicably sang his praises simply because he's so big and strong and athletic that it's well, eventually it has to click, right? Somebody that toolsy, that's been in the league for that long, and no progress whatsoever. Andy says the Wazurike pushed over the snapper, jumped over him, which has been blatantly banned for 2 years now. It was the worst execution I've ever seen. Exactly. It's not on the officials at all. And I've seen a lot, David, of people saying, oh, how can you call it in that particular part of the game? It's like, honestly, it doesn't really matter. That was egregious. The only thing that Uwazurike did is put his hand on the long snapper's back and pushed him down. like Andy said, it's been blatantly illegal. Yes. So I don't know if it's something that Rizzi is coaching or if Uwazurike is just not on the same ethereal plane as us, or if he's on a different ethereal plane, but it's inexcusable.
Yeah. There is no reason to even try and freaking block that kick from that position, man. Allow the guy to miss it. Allow the guy to miss it or to make it, man. But
BK, we're not the pod that blames the refs. Just
yeah.
I already said
us,
it was a poorly officiated game from top to bottom. They are not at all the reason the Broncos lost the game. In fact, the officials kept the Broncos in the game. Like right in that first half, or like kind of allowed them to take the lead. So no, we will not be blaming the officials whatsoever. And you're right, BK, the team absolutely lost this game. David, give me your, I mean, and it's a lot. Give me your biggest takeaway from this game.
Dude, this defense is booty, man. Straight booty. They play soft. We gave up almost 500 yards of offense to a Daniel Jones-led Colts offense. Inexcusable. Jonathan Taylor over 210 yards, man. I'm out of the Alex Singleton support group, man. I've been going back.
You might have been the last remaining member.
Man, he looked like an old man. He looked like an old man today. And Daniel Jones outplayed Bo Nix. Daniel Jones was getting rid of the football. Daniel Jones didn't make any bad decisions. Daniel Jones cooked Pat Surtain. Like, this is a performance that I think everybody flying back to Denver, man, they need to be absolutely disgusted and ashamed of themselves. If I told you that we scored 28 points going into this game, I would told you that we won. Inexcusable to give up that amount of yardage, of points. And again, our offense, we had the opportunity to seal the deal, even with a fledgling defense. But Nix, dude, I don't even know. I don't even know what happened on that play. And then Lutz to miss that. This is disgusting. This is the stuff that, as Super Bowl, talking about those sorts of expectations, Sean Payton wanted to talk about it. I don't know how the hell you can think that when we just gave away this game to a team that, granted, they might be hot, Mario, but they are not this damn good, man. They are not this damn good.
No.
We didn't bring it today, man.
And here's something that I want to address. WZA, the Great YT, thank you for watching. It's not time for Vance Joseph to go. I know this is an uninspiring performance, but let me counter, if I will. The biggest issue that the defense had last year was the inside linebackers. Singleton getting hurt, maybe was a blessing in disguise. Cody Barton was a little bit of an aberration. And it appears as though maybe they should have kept Cody Barton and let Alex Singleton walk. Cody Barton had an interception today, just for what it's worth. This is why you bring in a guy like Dre Greenlaw, but obviously he hasn't been on the field. So here's the problem. You have an elite secondary. I know that they didn't look good today, but for perspective, the Colts have 4 very good wide receivers. Yes. Michael Pittman has been a stalwart, like number 1 for a long time. Maybe not what he used to be, but he's a very good wide receiver. Alec Pierce, we saw it on full display. Big body dude, great hands, incredible 50-50 ball guy, go ball guy, really good receiver. A.D. Mitchell, they didn't use him right last year, plus Anthony Richardson was throwing him the ball. Really good receiver. And then you have Josh Downs, who was one of my favorite receivers in his class a few years ago out of North Carolina. Incredibly good slot receiver. Then you tack on Tyler Warren, who is this year's Brock Bowers, and Jonathan Taylor, who is still a top 5 running back in this league. And you tie that all together, and you consider the fact that Shane Steichen is calling their offense. The very same Shane Steichen that had us all convinced that Jalen Hurts was an elite quarterback. Jalen Hurts is a winner, but Jalen Hurts has benefited off of the tremendous talent around him. But he was never at his best than he was when Shane Steichen was calling the shots there. And where was Shane Steichen before that? Well, he was in LA for Justin Herbert's rookie year when Justin Herbert broke a bunch of rookie records, and Herbert hasn't been as good since his rookie year. That's Shane Steichen. He is a very good coach. And I know it's disgusting to think like, oh, I can't believe we lost to Daniel Jones. And I can't either. But Daniel Jones is not as bad of a quarterback as everybody wants to make him out to be. He did take that Giants team to the playoffs once upon a time a few years ago, and he's kind of just been bitten by the injury bug. He missed a full year, I think, a couple seasons ago. He missed most of the year last year, and the New York Giants are a dumpster fire. Daniel Jones is not a bad quarterback. Now, he's not elite. He's not as good as we want or think Bo Nix is, but like that Colts team, and like the thing that ties all together too is that offensive line, arguably the best offensive line in the league. I think the Broncos had one sack, and it was on a jailbreak blitz, basically. So Vance Joseph does not need to go because he can only do so much when you have such a massive shortcoming at both linebacker positions. And even when Dre Greenlaw comes back, like let's say he comes back, David, and he's going to be healthy for the rest of the season, Singleton is still going to be out there. This has to be addressed, and that is the biggest reason that I think the defense at the end of the day will not be elite, is because that is such a massive shortcoming on an otherwise elite defense.
Dude, I think you could say that he's the primary reason why Jonathan Taylor had all that stuff, man. Like, he just looked slow.
David, on his long run, like you could see Surtain had contain outside.
Yep.
And Singleton overran it and took Pat Surtain out of the play. And so really the big play of the day that Jonathan Taylor had, the big run at least, was a result of Alex Singleton. And then the long catch and run, he shifted in the backfield before that, David. Singleton didn't follow him. And then it seemed like he wasn't paying attention. He didn't get to the outside. You know what he's going to do. And he was slow getting over there and slow reacting. His feet are slow. And the way that you make up for it is that he made up for it in the past. And the reason he was able to rack up so many tackles, his instincts were good. And he made up for the shortcoming of athletic ability, but now his instincts seem off.
Yeah. It had me wishing, man, why didn't we elevate Lavelle Bailey or somebody with a little bit more speed, Corene Reed, somebody like that? I mean, we were getting cooked. We were still getting cooked by the offense, of course, in the first half. And I know it's going to take a lot to bench a captain. It just is. But this was
been done before, though.
I think sticking with your guns obviously went back to haunt you. And really, this game came down to like 2 or 3 different plays on how the Colts and Broncos each ended their, the last few drives of the game. And I thought we made fine enough plays, 90% of these plays in the fourth quarter, but at all these junctures on 3rd and 4th down, we just gave it away, man. The anti-clutch gene. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around how you can allow this to happen on offense, on defense, and on special teams, all in the span of 5 minutes, 7 minutes? Insane. So I don't know. I know we got a super chat in here, but again, the refs are not to blame for this game at all. I agree with you, Mario, that this, if anything, man, they were kind of letting us hand fight a little bit on a lot of these coverage plays with their wide receivers. And it could have been a lot worse, man. I really do feel that. So it will be interesting to see what Sean Payton has to say. But just inexcusable execution from special teams. I think right now that's where my anger is directed. Yeah. Is Darren Rizzi, man. This special teams unit doesn't look anything different than it did last year, self-destructing at the end of games, aside from Crawshaw doing his thing.
Yeah. And we appreciate the comment, Fravel. Will Lutz, I wouldn't call him completely useless. He's hit a couple game winners, but he's certainly not as good as he needs to be. And we saw it today. If Will Lutz, and we can't say for sure, if Will Lutz makes that field goal that the Broncos win, we don't know what's going to happen, but damn, does that increase their chances of winning drastically, because then the Colts have to go down and score a touchdown, which they struggle to do. And I think if you have a silver lining, maybe it's that even though the defense kind of gave up yards up and down the field, at least when they got into the red area. The Colts kicked 5 field goals, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
You don't want them to get in a field goal range in the first place. And, maybe you need to tighten it up a little bit before they get into plus territory. But yeah, again, like Will Lutz needed to make that. So you can talk all the trash that you want about him, and I'm sure he'll understand. I'm sure he'll tell you that obviously he needs to make that field goal. Offense did exactly what they needed to do. They got him in a position, and that makes it, I think a 5-point game.
5-point game.
Like I said, yeah, the Colts would have had to go down and score a touchdown. And then in terms of the penalty, like I know it's a trash call. It's a shame. But the reason that it's a trash call is because it was something that never should have been done. Like they're obligated to throw a flag in that situation if it is truly egregious, in my opinion, and it is. Like if it's a ticky-tack thing and like maybe he kind of makes contact or whatever, maybe they let it slide for Vel. Yeah. But in this situation where he doesn't try to do anything and he literally just pushes him down, the league is very adamant that you cannot do that.
Didn't we win
100% of the blame is on Uwazurike.
Didn't we win a game in Buffalo 2 years ago off the same call? Like, we can't say it was a trash call then.
and we benefited off it a couple of years ago. Daniel Miller wants to know thoughts on the Sean Payton firing. Do you want to take this one first, David?
Man, you guys are crazy. Have you seen what we've been through the last 10 years, man? Hey, this isn't the episode for that, but we'll rebound from this. We're going to be right in the thick of things for the AFC West. There is only going to be one 2-0 team after tomorrow in the AFC West, so we're going to be right there.
Oh, did the Chiefs end up losing?
Yeah, they lost to the Eagles. So.
Fantastic. It's because Taylor Swift wasn't in attendance. My wife told me she wasn't at that game.
Well,
so obviously the officials
dropped that touchdown catch that ended up in an interception. So that really swung the game. So
yeah, so if Taylor Swift is there, then it's maybe a different result. And Harrison Butker missing a field goal.
Yeah.
Love to see it. Love to see it.
It's the fall of the Chiefs. So it's only week 2, guys. We started out 0-2 last year. You know what?
Yeah.
But I don't want to look ahead, look for silver linings right now, Mario. Like I'm really pissed off that we lost this game.
Okay, then vent. You're right. Go ahead and vent. What else do you want to vent about? If you want to crush Alex Singleton a little bit more, if you want to go ham on him, I'm here for that.
Yes.
Because you were
Let's talk about
on the Alex Singleton fan train, right?
Yeah. Let's talk about Pat Surtain, man. Pat Surtain. I know he got a little nicked up in this game, man. But how many receptions did this guy let up? How many times did Daniel Jones complete a pass in front of him? And I know Daniel Jones was on it today. He didn't have any really bad or questionable targets or passes. But we need our best players to be our best players. Pat Surtain was not one of them today. And our pass rush was non-existent. Some of that is due to Daniel Jones getting the ball out quickly. Shane Steichen, as you pointed out. But our best players today on defense were not the best players. And that is frustrating. I think Justin Strnad got our only sack of the game.
Yeah, slightly above average. Actually, with a good point. Again, we are not going to get into the business of blaming the officials because, again, it went both ways. But you're right. Like, this came at a very interesting part of the game where, like, the Broncos are marching down. And to be fair, they did get a lot of that yardage back. But, 15-yard penalty, that's a drive killer. That's enormous. Bo still got him and JK still got him into field goal range. So again, it's like, I don't want to gripe too much about that. And maybe there was a camera angle where the face mask was bad. And maybe they just chose not to show it on the broadcast. So it's okay. Like if you want to gripe about the refs, this is a safe space. You are in the comments, complain about whatever you want. We are here for you to talk you through it. And I'm gonna reiterate because there's a lot more people watching now than there were when I said this the first time. The officials were bad on both sides.
Yeah.
They are not the reason that the Broncos lost. They're not the reason that the Colts won. It was overall just a very, very poorly officiated football game in general.
That roughing the passer call on Bo Nix to extend one of our that, I thought that was really soft. So again, there were things
because that happens to us. And Jonathan Cooper and Nick Benito just gave Daniel Jones a little tap as he's still in bounds, and he sells it a little bit on the sideline. We'd be furious if they made that call. That's an excellent point.
Yeah. But Riley Moss, tough game for him. Jaquan McMillan, I think he only had one target, but lets up a first down there. Let me see what we were on third down, because I think we got absolutely cooked on third down. Okay, not absolutely cooked. 6 of 13 though. Like,
Not ideal.
and it was in a lot of third and short situations. Thank God, we got it together on fourth down. But yeah, like they did a great job of getting themselves, for the most part, in third and short situations, or third and manageable. And they had good man beaters. Daniel Jones was getting the ball out quick. And yeah, like, this was a game of inches. Jonathan Cooper dropped what probably could have been an interception. He almost sacked Daniel
Oh,
Jones,
that's a
but
tough play. Yeah.
he was able to get away. Like, dude, I just cannot freaking believe, dude. Daniel Jones looks like a freaking MVP right now, Mario. I
He
hate
really
this. I hate this
is
reality.
he the 2025 version of Sam Darnold, where you get 1 year with a change of scenery and you just play way above your station for a really, really good play calling, offensive minded coach, and you look so much better than you are. Biggie Braga says Vance Joseph had a bad defensive plan for this one. If we got to get on Sean Payton for bad play calling, we got to call out Vance Joseph too. So here's my only issue with that, and I don't disagree with you at all, Biggie. To be fair, we don't really know what the defensive game plan was. What we know is the Colts have a lot of really good weapons. They have a top 5 running back in Jonathan Taylor. Tyler Warren looks fantastic. All the things that I said before. We don't know what the game plan was, but what I will tell you is if you have an all-world running back like Jonathan Taylor, who finally seems like he's kind of back to his regular form, if you are soft and weak at the inside linebacker position, there is not a whole hell of a lot that you can do. And we routinely saw behind this excellent Colts offensive line that Jonathan Taylor was getting into the second level, and Sternat, who had a great game last week and had the only sack, fell a little bit flat. And honestly, like, his play was overshadowed by how bad Alex Singleton was. So I guess my question, Biggie, and feel free to answer, is what can Vance Joseph do differently in terms of a game plan when you have these kind of players that just, like, they should not necessarily be starters on an NFL defense? So what are you doing differently? Because they don't match up well with this kind of a team. And Shane Steichen obviously knew that that was the weak part of the Broncos defense, and he attacked it repeatedly. And all of the big plays that you saw, aside from the deep ball to Alec Pierce, which was just great throw, great catch, like Riley had good coverage and just kind of lost it. All the other big plays, in my opinion, were a result of the inside linebacker position.
Yeah,
like when they're going early and often to Tyler Warren, and that was an adjustment that he made. Warren was eating him up because they were trying to have like Singleton or Sternat or whatever on him early, and he was cooking him. There was one play, David. Tell me if you remember this. Warren caught it. I think it was like a short dig or a comeback route or something like that. It was a short completion, and he had a little bit of space, and he hit the slowest juke ever on Singleton. Singleton olayed him, and then hit the slowest juke ever on Justin Sternat, and it was like a glitch in the Matrix, because it was the same slow juke move, and they both overran it and kind of turned around and flailed. Terrible linebacker play today. And the reason that they got exposed is because they did not get the push that this defensive front consistently got last season, because, like you said, Daniel Jones is getting the ball out quick, and this offensive line is really freaking good.
Yeah. Yeah, and in terms of a strategy going in, I mean, I want us to play our ball, especially against a guy like Daniel Jones coming into this game. Hell yeah, I want to blitz a lot. Hell yeah, I want to put the pressure on him to see if he's going to make the right reads and get the ball out quickly.
But David, when they put the pressure on, they weren't getting home.
Yeah, exactly.
The Colts had an answer for everything they did.
Yeah, he passed the test, man. He passed the test with flying colors.
What do you think about this? Let me pull this up. Casey Max says, can Sean just let someone else make the offensive play calls? His play calling has hurt us the past 2 weeks.
Shit, man. I mean, we had I'm not going to blame him for Bo Nix's interception and for Will Lutz's mixed field goal, man. We left 6 points up on the board. We still scored 28 points. I think we had 2 3-and-outs this game, which, again, you want to try and eliminate those. But overall, man, we drove the ball well. I thought we had good balance on offense. We just didn't finish enough drives. But I think Sean Payton's play calling was a hell of a lot better than it was last week, and I think it's one of the things that probably doesn't need to be addressed in this game. Honestly, I don't really feel like it was an issue. I have a lot. If anything, Mario, I'm really curious because we have not seen a game called like this, at least in my memory. What did you think about it with that Colts last drive using the second to last first down series to call those timeouts? What did you think about all that? That was really interesting. I'm still not totally sure how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think that's a tough situation, and I don't fault Sean Payton simply because I think in that situation, he's putting the faith in his defense. He's like, I know the defense hasn't been great all game, but I think that came from a place of faith of, I think that we can stop them. And, just in case they get into field goal range with enough time to spare, I want to make sure that we have time. So I didn't have a huge problem with it because, again, that tells me that he had faith in the defense. And at the end of the day, the defense did not deliver when they needed to. I mean, they had a big third down conversion. I think it was 3rd and 6.
Yep.
And they called that drag route to Pierce, which is a great call. And the Broncos are in cover 0, which is incredibly difficult to cover. I don't care how good Pat Surtain is, and he's the reigning defensive player of the year. There's no member of anybody's secondary that can be in cover 0 in that position and follow Alec Pierce across the field because you're banking on your front getting pressure. And they just didn't do that. Like you go cover 0 because you're bringing pressure on the quarterback. Benito almost got there, but he didn't. And there's just not a lot you can do. So again, I like the call from Vance Joseph. They go cover 0 in those situations all the time. And Vance Joseph is banking on somebody getting home, and nobody got home.
Yeah, and I guess to your point, I mean, it kind of did work to where it led to a 60-yard field goal attempt. It did work in that respect, and it was strange seeing them.
That should have been the game.
Yeah.
So, for all intents and purposes, David, the way that they handled it technically was great. And really, the worst play calling that we saw from Steichen were those last 2 runs where the Broncos defense was able to back them up a few yards. And instead of it being a 56, 57-yard field goal, it was 60. And there's something mental with kickers where it's if it's in the 59 is infinitely different than 60. And this is coming from multiple kickers that I have talked to and worked on. They're there's just something about it where sometimes kickers will even ask to have the ball a little bit forward if it's 60 so that it's 59 and a half, because it's this weird mental block of 59 is attainable. 60 is ridiculous. It's the same reason that you go buy something and the price is $5.99 instead of $6.
Wow. Yeah. Mario, man.
David, Kai wants to know ideas for trades for an inside linebacker before the deadline, or what can be done differently. I heard having Ufanga in the box and Barron at safety. Why didn't we see that? What do you think, David?
Might be a little too crazy for week 2, man. I mean, I don't really know if Barron's ready to start playing multiple positions, even though I hope we see that from him at some point. But I think, man, right now, you almost have to just elevate some of these inside linebackers that are young, a little bit more green, and hopefully try and get them ready towards the stretch end of the season, because we need athletes. We need guys who can get from sideline to sideline. It's just hard for me to imagine that Corene Reed and Lavelle Bailey, hell, even Garrett Wallow, man, get cooked like that, man. Like you said, on that one double juke play with Sternad and Singleton, I mean, that was out of a video game, man. And that can't.
It was comical how bad it looked. Slightly above average said, we were playing backup, so the Colts DBs still looked like dog water. Sutton was non-existent. And a tweet that I'd sent out before the game, and I kind of regretted it as soon as I said it, because I'm I know that this is going to be a closer game than anybody thinks. But they were down 2 of their top cornerbacks, and Latu, who is their stud edge rusher.
Yeah.
And I think maybe Bo Nix got sacked once. And it was that broken play where Indy jumped off sides, but I think they got back on sides. And then Dobbins, who's the last person I would ever expect to do this, is pointing, and the play is live and they haven't blown it dead, and he's still pointing. and it was a broken play. I think that was honestly the only sack that they had. But that notwithstanding, like, this is why I thought that the offense needed to look better. And granted, David, they looked way better than they did in last week, week 1. Okay. And they should have. And they were picking on the undrafted kid that was starting at corner this week for Indianapolis. And maybe that's why they were going away from Sutton, because the one good cornerback that they did have that was active was on Sutton. And they're like, and they got too cute. And they're like, we're just going to attack this side. That's why you saw Franklin so involved so early, because he was going up. I don't even know the dude's name. He's a drafted cornerback. But at some point, like, get Cortland Sutton the ball. You gave him all this money. Does it really matter who's guarding him? So it is what it is. Zach Phillips said, WTF was the Bo shot put throw. Yeah, not ideal. I want to see run from the pocket. And I think that's an interesting point. I'm glad that he brings it up. Do you think Bo needs to be running now? Because, David, remember, we were kind of clamoring for that last year, not knowing that Bo was playing with a broken freaking back. But he's all recovered now. And it feels like he's running less than he was when he had a fractured, I think it was like a thoracic part of his spine.
Yeah. I would like to see it, man, on a couple of these scrambles. I thought he had some major plays for us. And again, I think hindsight's 2020. I think they'll always err on the side of being aggressive in those situations. But yeah, I guess people are saying, I didn't see the replay of this, that it was tipped at the line, like whatever. It would have been nice to just kind of extend that lead a little bit. I forget what like, you kind of know what kind of game it is at that point in the fourth quarter. I'm trying to remember what the score was, but I think that would have taken it to like an 8-point game again. So it would have been good to at least get those 3 points. So I like, nobody ever calls a perfect game. Sean Payton's play calling in this isn't really something that I think is worth much discussion. Like, I love the fact that Troy got involved. Marvin did his thing. Again, we should have had 34 on the board.
Yeah. Casey Mack has an interesting question. Would you take this loss if the Broncos go out and beat the Chargers next week? Yeah. Because the Chargers are a division team, and you win your division games, and it helps you more in the seeding. So, like, yeah, if it comes down to that. But I guess here's the problem, Casey Mack. It's like, and this is the problem that we get into as podcasters and pundits and fans and analysts, whatever we want to call ourselves. We all tally the wins and the losses throughout the season. And I think this was like overwhelmingly considered a win. And again, like, the Colts clearly are a much better team than any of us gave them credit for. But at the same time, like we said, had some really major injuries on the defensive side of the ball that should have translated to more than 28 points, given how the flow of the game went. But if I'm like, would I trade it? Like, if you told me before the season, you can either beat the Chargers in LA or the Colts in Indianapolis, which do you choose? Of course, you want to beat the Chargers because they're a division team. The issue is that they play bully ball a little bit too. And that's a tough matchup for these inside linebackers as well.
Yeah, Chargers are another bad matchup for us, just like the Colts are, man. And this is coming from a fan's perspective. Dude, I do not like the Indianapolis Colts. They have given me, as a Broncos fan, Mario, so much heartache throughout my life.
For our whole lives. They are just not good against the Colts, David.
No.
They're not. Like, you look back historically, and the last time that this team won in Indianapolis was when Brock Osweiler made his return to Denver. Some person named Jeff Hireman, remember him? He was a second-round pick. That was fun. He had like the highlight of his career where he had like a 50-yard touchdown pass. It was the Color Rush game. One of the Star Wars movies had just come out. And I remember I didn't even get to watch that entire game because I went to go to the premiere of the Star Wars movie. And, you know, like, it wasn't a compelling game. I don't even remember who the quarterback was for the Colts, but both the teams were bad that year. And so that was the last time that the Broncos beat the Colts in Indianapolis. Like, I don't think Peyton Manning won there.
He didn't, dude. Andrew Luck
he had a couple opportunities. So that's just one of those places. Like, for some reason, the Colts are to us as how we are to the Cowboys. Like, even if, like, a few years ago when the Broncos went to Dallas, and the Cowboys were an infinitely better team than the Broncos when we had Teddy Bridgewater and when Javonte Williams was still good with us. And they went and they thumped Dallas. And the time they played Dallas before at home, we had Trevor Siemian at quarterback. And they had Des Bryant, and I think Dak Prescott was looking like a really good quarterback, and they thumped him again. It's just one of those matchups that defies logic, and it clearly doesn't matter who's on what team and who's coaching and the implications. There are just some teams that have other teams' numbers. We have the Cowboys number, and the Colts have ours.
The Ravens and Colts feels like they will always beat us. And I do want to talk about, too, I mean, they would obliterate us in the playoffs like all the time with Jake Plummer. And then, of course, the 2014 thing with Peyton Manning. Last year, I mean, Anthony Richardson had one of his better games, and it took a Jonathan Taylor fumble at the goal line for us to like get momentum back. And I got to say this, dude, I hate their stupid looking mascot, dude. I hate that thing. I hate it every time, dude, as he's just like thrusting his stupid fat belly, dude. I hate that stupid Colts mascot. It is what it is.
Daniel, yes, Sean Payton should remain the coach. You're hilarious. Thank you for watching.
Dude, get some psilocybin, man. Come on.
You know what it is? Here's the problem. They need to have an exorcism against the Colts franchise and the city of Baltimore, because ever since the John Elway trade went down, because that was the Baltimore Colts, John Elway didn't want to be in Baltimore. The franchise moved to Indianapolis. I think I'm haven't brushed up on my history of the Colts franchise. But maybe that's why, because Baltimore also has our number. We don't beat Baltimore. And then when we do, they beat us in the playoffs, so it doesn't really matter. So it's Baltimore and it's the Colts. And it's like, because now it's technically two franchises. And so we reap the rewards and the benefits of John Elway. And the football gods said, "You're welcome. Now you will suffer at their hand."
That's all this game came down to, because so many things went wrong. Go ahead, read this comment here. Let's talk more about it.
I never was a fan of the Coach Rizzi hire. So far, not impressed by him whatsoever. And I feel the same way, Rodney. And like David, he was a coach with Sean Payton in New Orleans previously, correct? Because of course he was. And Sean Payton has made it very clear that he's bringing in his own people. And for the most part, players, personnel, anybody, for the most part, it has played out pretty well for him. I know it is 2 weeks into the season, but the special teams has looked anything but special. Like last week, the decision not to kick the ball out of the end zone and allow the Titans to return it for 70 yards, they get a chance at a field goal. You know, Marvin Mims fumbled a punt, even though like it's not technically Rizzi's fault, but it's like, is there just like some sort of like his aura is off to where like Marvin Mims has never fumbled on a kicker punt return and all of a sudden he does? And then, you know, Will Lutz misses a kick that could have basically sealed it. And then Awazurike has the Trojan Ends Boner of the Week award, where he's just shoving down the long snapper's head. Like, bro, what are you? I almost made an inappropriate joke there, but I'm not. I'm gonna rise above that. Like, what are we doing? And again, like, is that being coached by Darren Rizzi? Because if it is, that is embarrassing. Because you so obviously, blatantly cannot do that. Like, if I'm Sean Payton, I'm having Darren Rizzi and Awazurike. As soon as we get back to Denver tonight, you're going to the facility and you're running wind sprints, goal line to goal line, until you throw up or pass out.
We blame the coordinators and the play callers on offense.
And the kickoff coverage has been terrible too, Rodney. You're right. I got so caught up, I forgot the most obvious one. You're right.
Yeah, it's been terrible, man. So if this was the play that we see on offense or defense, we're talking about those coaches right now. Darren Rizzi, man, he is not. And I'll even nitpick about this a little bit with Crawshaw's slow start, I guess, in preseason or lack thereof. You know, they're talking about the 2 weeks or so leading up to the regular season, how they had to start just simulating one punt reps like in the game. Dan Rizzo, you've been coaching this thing for how many years?
Way
And you
too
just
long
had
to
to
be
come
doing
up with
this.
that damn idea after week 3 of preseason. Like, you don't know how to get this guy in a groove by now. I mean, it worked. I'll give him credit, man. But
The blind squirrel found a nut.
yeah, it's like why are we struggling with these things, man? Special teams, it has been egregious. Aside from, thank God we got a franchise punter, Jeremy Crawshaw, man. Can we just talk for a minute about him? He's looking fantastic.
We've got 2 comments here, David, about individual defensive players. We'll start with Singleton. Do you see us benching Singleton going forward? What do you think?
I think it's going to take a lot more than that to bench a captain.
Unfortunately, yeah. Well, and here's the other thing. Like, once Greenlaw comes back, Sternad goes back to the bench.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Rodney. Like David said, it has to be pretty bad. Today was pretty bad. Like, I don't think you can have much worse of a game as an inside linebacker than Alex Singleton had today. And so from that perspective, you assume that he has nowhere to go but up. Like, he can only improve off of what happened. And if that's the case, then we're not going to see a benching. Now, if we trade for an inside linebacker because WZA, the great YT, I don't know if it's Wizza or WZA, so I apologize. If he's washed up like he's thinking he is, and like a lot of Broncos fans said he was, where he was already kind of a liability before an ACL injury, before he was 31 years old, then yeah, I think they definitely have to address it. And this is the question that you have to ask. How serious are you about a Super Bowl run this season? Because if Alex Singleton is one of your starting inside linebackers, you are not a legitimate contender. If he continues to play the way he did today, if he flips a switch and he goes back to 2022 Alex Singleton, who had a fantastic year that year, more power to you. That's great. And then we don't need to bench him, that we don't need to trade for an inside linebacker. But what are the odds of that happening, David, with a 31, 32-year-old linebacker who was a year removed from a torn ACL?
Yeah, man, it's not looking good. And I will say it doesn't look great for our young linebacker core right now. Maybe it will change in the second half of the season. But again, this guy's playing with a broken hand, a broken thumb. This was something that kept him out in preseason. Like, it's not great to have a liability at inside linebacker. Well, he's a liability with 2 hands. And today he was playing with 1 hand as well. And in terms of replacing him with better play, maybe we should go after a guy like Eric Kendricks. That'd be cool. But in terms of like making a deal at the deadline or before the deadline, what rebuilding team has an inside linebacker? I mean, I guess Patrick Queen was dealt right like a few years ago. I'm trying to think, but it's not very often you're able to find an inside linebacker on the trade market. I don't know. You might just have to roll with the punches with some young guys throughout this season.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then Kai wants to know, do you think Uwazurike's time in Denver is nearing an end? That guy has hurt us more than helped.
Pending an audit.
David, they kept 7 defensive linemen. He's expendable purely from a numbers standpoint. What does he offer? Honest question. I want you to dig into your bag, David, and I want you to say something really nice about what Uwazurike brings to this team.
He gets good PFF grades.
Oh man, it's better than nothing, I guess. Yeah, like Rodney said, Eric Kendricks. Yeah. We're getting a lot of Sean Payton. So I want to thank you for watching, Isaac. Here's the thing, man. Like, first of all, it's been like widely broadcasted and accepted that Sean Payton is like historically terrible in September. I don't know why. Like, I don't know if it's because he's just a much better adapter and adjuster as the season goes on. Like, maybe he gets a little bit more film, like current film for the season, and then he starts to hit his stride. But this has been a an issue that has plagued Sean Payton for his entire career. So it's overreactionary, because here's the thing, Isaac. If you think that Sean Payton is on the hot seat, and like this season he's not, he rose way above his station last season. They were supposed to win 5-6 games. They won 10. They went to the playoffs. That bought him an extra year. So unless this team crashes and burns and they're not a bad team, like they're not nearly bad enough to crash and burn, the Sean Payton discussion of whether or not he's going to be fired, you're going to have to table that until 2027.
Man, I don't understand as a fan how you can go through what we've been through the last 10 years and be bitching about who our head coach is right now. Like there are very few head coaches that I would prefer right now over Sean Payton. Like, and that's, it's maybe like 2 guys.
Yeah. You might have the answer, like a better answer to this than me, David, but I guess we'll attack this together.
Yeah.
Can we explain the leverage penalty so that my wife understands it? Do you agree with the call in the spirit of the rule? So as far as I understand it, you can't make contact with the long snapper. They have their head down. The league is trying. This is a protection thing. They want to protect them. So in terms of like how it's written, where you're not supposed to make contact, Owazurike again pushed his head down. Okay. Immediately, like just shoved his body down. Okay. So yes, unfortunately, I agree with the call in the spirit of the rule, simply because, and it's like, if it were not so egregious, David, I think I would have a harder time thinking like, I can't believe that they called that. But it was so obvious and it was so bad. And like, honestly, if you're doing something like that, I don't know how you're discreet about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, there's no way to discreetly push somebody's head down, no matter what the context.
And I'll add this, Mario, with some of the rules with player safety, when like certain players are lowering their head, that they're trying to make rules around this so that, you're not making contact with your head or causing like neck snaps and different things like that. Very, very dangerous. So the center already has their head in a down position like that.
Yeah.
And
they can't protect themselves.
They cannot protect themselves. So this rule is in place to keep their head from getting bashed in, from their neck snapping, and all these different things. Like, it is now why it used to be coached in the past is because you want to get him down to the ground as fast as possible. So then you can go straight up through that middle gap and then block the field goal. But it's a play that should be taken out of the game, because again, you could have somebody break their neck over the play. You just shouldn't even touch them.
It's not that hard to understand, right? Ronnie said he doesn't like Owazurike at all. He's another Mike Purcell. Rodney, thank you for watching and listening, and I appreciate that you're interacting. Really, we love and we appreciate you. Don't you dare defame the great name of Mike Purcell, who consistently was one of the best run defenders we ever had. Rodney, if Owazurike had half the production that Mike Purcell had for this defense, I would be ecstatic. Mike Purcell gave you exactly what you needed from someone of his position. He pushed the pile back, he was able to gain leverage, and he was phenomenal in the run. Period. So, again, thank you for watching. I love Mike Purcell.
I'll tell you what, man.
Watch your mouth.
Desmond Watson isn't pushing that center's head down. I'll tell you that. Desmond Watson, I think, is still unclaimed right now.
So is that the answer? Desmond Watson?
Yes, because, okay, we like Owazurike because of his size, right? What's possible. But he's so soft, being like 6'5", 320 pounds or whatever. So why not bring in a guy that may lack some physicality, but he's actually closer to 500 pounds than
he's just gigantic. Like, just stand there. Like, you can't move him. He's like, just stand there.
Yeah. Like, this would have been the game for that. It's a shame.
Roddy wants to know, how do you see our defense looking next week? Go ahead, David.
I'll come up with reasons why we can win. It's just in my DNA, Mario, but we got Harbaugh twice last year. We got Harbaugh twice. The pessimist in me right now is very worried about that game.
I think the defense, I want to say that they'll look better, man. I really do. But like Justin Herbert's better than Daniel Jones. I guess you could argue that the Chargers' offensive line isn't quite as good as the Colts, but it's still really good.
Held up well last week.
Yeah, like Keenan Allen is back. Like, I know it was only one game so far, but like Quentin Johnston actually looked like a serviceable, good receiver, which was weird because he had gone viral for like consistently dropping passes all throughout the last several training camps. Keenan Allen is back. They don't have much of a threat at the tight end position, so I guess that's different from the Colts. Like they certainly don't have a Tyler Warren. They have, God, I hope not, because they just have like big blocking tight ends. Or if Aronde Gadsden cooks us, I will be so sick. But I guess like what could make me feel better, I loved Amari and Hampton coming out. Granted, it was against the Chiefs defense, but he did not look bursty. He was not impressive to me. Again, very, very, very small sample size because they haven't played the Raiders yet. So I guess you can kind of hang your hat on that of like, he's not Jonathan Taylor. Like regardless of what Hampton is like right now or what you think he is, he's not Jonathan Taylor. So at least there's that. But Justin Herbert's not Daniel Jones. Justin Herbert is a much better quarterback than Daniel Jones. So I think, and then this kind of segues with this, what was going on with PS2 this game. It, very obviously, like when PS2 came back into that game after his non-contact injury, clearly wasn't himself, and again, like I will never be the person that gives someone an off, like say you're okay because they're hurt. If you are on the field, I don't care how you're feeling, because if you are feeling so bad that is affecting your play, then you shouldn't be playing. It was that like, the most I ever felt this, David, was a few years ago when it came out that like, oh, Russell Wilson was playing with the lat injury or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, he was ass. Okay. He was hot, soupy ass. And I don't want to hear an excuse. And if he's saying that it was because of his torn lat, bitch, sit on the bench. Okay. And so like, even though Pat Surtain struggled and he didn't play like the reigning defensive player of the year, he was still much better than any other option they had. So I think that's what was going on with him. He clearly wasn't 100%. He got beat, I think, more than we've seen him, like certainly last year. Even though like he would have games every once in a while where he just like wasn't quite there. But again, I think it's important to keep in mind that the Colts receivers, like all of them are really freaking good. Yeah. And every once in a while, like DBs are always at a disadvantage. And we're so used to Pat Surtain just locking whoever down, like on the other side of him, that when he has an average to above average game, which he did today, to us it's terrible because of the context with which he had it. Because usually he gives up one or two catches, and we see all of the Twitter posts and all of the Instagram posts about how freaking good Pat Surtain was. He was good today. He wasn't great. He wasn't phenomenal. He wasn't Patrick Surtain like how he normally is. And I think a lot of that was his injury. And like as a body worker and as like a physiological expert, what makes Pat Surtain as good as he is his quick twitch movements and like his ability to close and change of direction. When you have an ankle injury, and it's very clearly an ankle, they kept working it out. That's where that short area burst comes from. That's where that quick twitch movement comes from. It's generated by the ankles. You have to have that ankle flexibility and mobility. They had said that they taped it all up. They locked it in. So I guarantee you he was at 80 to 85%. But an 80 to 85% Pat Surtain is still better than 95% of the cornerbacks in the league.
Just like right now, an 80% Alex Singleton seems to be better than the rest of our inside linebackers, which is terrifying to think of. So when it comes to what's
say that for sure, though? Like, can we?
Are we
so sure that Lavelle Bailey or Karanny Reed would not be better options?
I'm with you, Mario, but that's what the coaches are saying. But what will make me feel better about next week is if we finally get Drake Greenlaw
back. Richie, Moss has shown over and over a poor fast twitch ability. Disagree. Here's the thing, Richie. When you play on the other side of Pat Surtain, you are going to get thrown at a lot. And if you compare Riley Moss to literally every single other cornerback 2 in this entire league, he's top 3, maybe top 5. The quick twitch stuff isn't a problem for him, in my opinion. There are plenty of ways to work on it, but like, it's just, that's not an issue for him. He gets picked on a lot because the alternative is going after Pat Surtain. And it's just funny to me, like, this fan base has such a short memory span, David, where it's like, Riley Moss honestly played better than Pat Surtain last week. Through no fault of Pat Surtain, because they just didn't throw at him. Riley Moss had a phenomenal game last week against Elike Umanor, granted a rookie making his first start, but a Umanor balled out today, caught a touchdown. I think he had like 70, 80 yards, something like that. Very good wide receiver, and Riley Moss shut him down. And we saw the same thing last year, David, after the Cincinnati game. Even though Riley had been phenomenal all year, they clearly forced him back for the Cincy game. He got absolutely cooked by T. Higgins, who was the best, number 2 wide receiver in the league and probably a top 15, top 20 wide receiver in his own right. Riley Moss is not a problem, okay? Because I want you to look across the league, name 5 teams that have better number 2 cornerbacks than Riley Moss. You can't do it, and if you try, you're telling on yourself.
I don't know what to say, man. Overall, man, I love this fan base, but again, sometimes I think they expect all pros at every single position,
which is great. Like, that would be fantastic. And you're right, David. It's a comparative thing. Like, you watch Pat Surtain, reigning defensive player of the year, literally voted the best defensive player in the entire NFL. That is who you are comparing Riley Moss to, because they share a field. It was just like shortly after John Elway retired and Brian Griese came in. He was a Pro Bowler. Bronco fans hated Brian Griese because he wasn't John Elway. Jake Plummer comes in. He takes this game to an AFC championship game. People ran Jake Plummer out of town. They said he's terrible because they still had the Elway hangover. Jay Cutler takes over for Jake Plummer. And I love Jake Cutler. And, we all know that situation, but he still wasn't good enough because people still had the John Elway taste in their mouths. So it's all comparative, and it's all about perspective. Riley Moss is really freaking good, and I'm not worried about him whatsoever.
No, not at all, man. Not at all. I'm just worried about special teams and inside linebacker right now.
David, before we get out of here, any final thoughts that you want to leave the people with? Is it going to be doom and gloom, or are we going to try and leave on a bright spot here?
Yeah, let's leave on a bright spot, man. People are talking about Courtland Sutton not being targeted enough, man. I don't really care, man. We had, if anything, Marvin Mims should have been targeted more, man. He got off to a nice little start right there. It was good to see him and Troy Franklin have their moments in this game. I think this was a nice game, and to where, like, we've seen them do it now in the regular season. I'm starting to feel more confident overall in this wide receiver group, along with, hey, Pat Bryant. I think in the times that he was on the field, he played well. So I really like the future we got there. Again, we scored enough points to win today. I'm not too upset from the offensive side of things.
I want to get a quick thought from Sean Payton here, as David and I take you through this post game and as we wrap up. Let's go to Coach Payton to see what he thinks about what David and I have done so far.
Gosh, your own little internet shows are driving me crazy.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks, Sean. All we've done is defend you pretty much this entire time. You have people calling for your job. You have people saying that you shouldn't be calling the plays. We're defending you. And apparently our little internet show just drives you crazy. Thanks a lot, Coach. No, but in all seriousness, let's look big picture. David, it's so easy to get reactionary and overreactionary over a loss like this. And really, when it boils down to it, like, they won the game. And if it wasn't for just like a stupid ass play by a stupid ass player, then the Broncos are 2-0, and the tone of our post-game show is completely different. It almost feels as bad, not quite, but it almost feels as bad as the loss in Kansas City last year.
Mm-hmm.
They won that game. The only way they didn't win that game is in the win-loss column. It's like there's no other way to explain it. Like, despite not playing well on defense, and despite Bo looked really sharp in the first half. He fell off a little bit in the second, threw the bad pick. I heard it was tipped. I didn't really see it. I was really distracted watching the game, but Bo looked marketably better. Okay. You have to hope that Bo continues that trajectory, that he gets more and more comfortable. I think as the season goes on, we're going to see more and more of RJ Harvey as they start to acclimate him in. I love what I've seen from J.K. Dobbins. Troy Franklin had his coming out party today. You know that they're going to start getting Evan Ingram involved. There are a lot of moving parts to this offense. And this Sean Payton offense, I will tell you, based on what I've heard from a multitude of players from the wide receiver, tight end, offensive line position, this is an incredibly complicated offense, which is probably why it took Troy Franklin his entire rookie year to really get the hang of things. It goes the same for a guy like Evan Ingram. He's got to acclimate himself. That's why, Troutman, I think, has more catches than him to start the season. He won't end with more catches, okay? It's why a guy like RJ Harvey isn't getting the touches. We're going to see a lot of it. Feed RJ Harvey. He's so great. He's so explosive. He is. And they will slowly acclimate. And maybe that is why. Maybe we've unlocked it. Maybe this is why Sean Payton teams historically start slow, is because he runs such a convoluted, overly complicated offense to the point where it takes everybody about a month to really get on the same page. Maybe that's what it is. And that's what I'm going to say it is, just to make me feel better in case we start 1-3 because I'm sorry, 1-4 because they have the Chargers in LA. They have the Bengals at home, even though Joe Burrow got hurt. So we'll see what plays out there. That could change that game drastically. Mm-hmm. And then they have the Eagles in Philadelphia before they go across the pond. And I think that was the hardest part, David, is they needed to start 2-0 because they have a really, really difficult freaking stretch of the next 3 games. And then, oh, by the way, they have to go all the way to London, play a bad Jets team, but still that kind of travel, there's a lot of factors. So that's what makes it so difficult. But again, Bronco fans, how doom and gloom were we this time last year, David? Do you remember? The team started 0-2. Bo looked bad. We couldn't do anything on offense. The defense looked good enough, but they didn't look great in Seattle. And they got beat by Justin Fields. And then the New York Jets game, they won it, but Bo Nix had negative 13 passing yards at half or something like that. And then it all came together. So even though this hurts and this sucks, because this again was a win, let's all take a collective deep breath and just wait for the rest of the season to play out, because the Super Bowl is not won in week 2. A playoff berth is not won in week 2. Being a 10, 11, 12-win football team is not done by week 2 of the season. So just keep perspective. Be mad. You're allowed to be mad, and you should be mad. But get over it, because we need your faith and your confidence this time next week.
We're going undefeated in the AFC West and winning the division. That's what I'm going to leave with, man.
That's
the narrative that we run with.
And here's the thing. If you want to overreact to week 2 and you want to take everything that happens in week 2 really seriously, then by that logic, the Kansas City Chiefs will finish 0-17. And I will tell you this. If by the grace of God, the football gods, we're not going to get blasphemous here, okay? God doesn't care that much about football. If that happens, I will strip down and run naked through the streets and shoot off mortar shells into the sky, singing Sweet Home Alabama. I don't know. I'll lose my ever-loving mind, and I will live stream it. Well, all I'm saying is don't overreact to week 2, okay? The Chiefs aren't going to go 0-17, and the Broncos season is not over.
Dude, I still believe it, Mario. 13-4 was my prediction. We were going to drop some along the way, but we're going to sweep the AFC West, and A.T. Perry is going to get his, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Mario. That is David. Thank you so much to the 1,200 plus of you that joined us. Make sure that you go ahead and give us a like, a subscribe. David, shout out your channel real quick. Where can the people find you and the amazing work that you do?
David Talks Broncos. Got I want to call it Empower Hour. It's Horsepower Hour tomorrow night with my other friends on YouTube. It's Thursday nights with Strez, Broncos Hubs. Thanks again for having me on. And hey, Zach Seegers wasn't here, but I gotta say, man, I wasn't upset. I wasn't upset when I heard you were doing the post game, man. This was a lot of fun.
The people are saying that this is a much better show. I don't know. That's just what the people are saying.
I'll let you all figure that out on the Let's Talk Broncos panel.
Thank you all so much. You know what? That show was fire.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, David. That helps me. Hopefully this helps you cope with the loss. I'm still fuming a little bit, but I definitely feel a little bit better. David, thank you for joining me. Make sure you tune into Altitude Adjustment. Just so everybody knows, if you're a fan of Altitude Adjustment, you watch it. Patrick Chiotti and myself, usually we record Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Live. We will not be doing that. I will be out of town on assignment. Patrick Chiotti will be coaching. He was supposed to join us for the post game. I wish he could have. It would have been so much fun. But unfortunately, Pat couldn't make it. But David did more than enough to make up for Pat not being here. But every other week, make sure you're tuning into Altitude Adjustment. Tune into David Talks Broncos, David Talks Buffs. Make sure you tune into all of the wonderful shows on the Let's Talk Broncos network. I think that Robbie and Frankie, the Full Field Read, will drop on Friday. Make sure that you do not miss that. If you want to blame Sean Payton and his play calling, please make sure you tune into Frankie and Robbie, and they will set you straight and break down for you why Sean Payton is not the problem. I've been Mario. That's been David. Thank you all so much for joining us. We appreciate you. God bless and go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Hey, feel I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage.